game show music. How are we doing? Doing good? We just heard how Google wants to become Microsoft. I think that's fantastic. I was asked today to say what's going to come next in advertising. So I'm going to make one prediction. But there's one thing I want you to go home with today, is I predict that the future of advertising is prediction. Make sense? Well, my job's done, so I can go home. Now, I'm an extrovert. Those of you that do study Myers-Briggs, I feed off energy of the crowd. So if you like what I'm saying, yeah, nodding, thank you, sir. We can nod your heads, disagree, shake your head. Actually, if you want to ask a question along the way, I may even be brave enough to take it. Or if you really like like what we're saying, give me some energy, because I know it's the middle of the afternoon, and actually signals to the presenter is really good. It's a good thing. Is that okay?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's very nice indeed. And I want you to think about signals, because signals, especially in digital, drive prediction. If I can get the feedback from you, I can react to you. If I know what you like, I can give you more of what you like. Let me give you an example. Hi, I'm Andy Hart. I'm standing up here as a Microsoft person representing one of the greatest companies on the planet. We're here to enable and empower everyone on the planet to achieve more. Persona number one. Hi, I'm Andy. I'm sorry I can't be with you tonight at the dinner, but I've got parenting responsibilities. I'm seeing my kid. It's the most important thing to me. I'm making sure that he's fed and he's prepared for his exams next week are the most important. I humbly apologise. Oh, hi, I'm Andy. I work for Microsoft. My new boss has just told me that cloud computing and mobile computing is going to be the most important thing that's going to happen to us, and everyone in the company has to get behind building enterprise cloud, and for this audience, the marketing cloud, because it's going to change everything. And you get the drill. There's a few other of my personas that are up there. And the challenging thing about being in digital and being in advertising is making sure that you're talking to the right persona. Because when I'm thinking about my kid, I really don't care very much about the cloud. When I'm thinking about my cloud, I don't really think very much about my homemaking. And understanding which persona I am in is going to be so important to be able to deliver your right message at the right time, in the right context, everything that we've been trained for, everything that we are experts at, and making sure our fantastic creative hits home and delivers something that is effective. So we come to this conference expecting to hear about advertising, and of course advertising now is dominated by media. I'm privileged enough to have worked in a number of companies, but I do remember when I worked in my first full service agency, sitting in that very dirty little quiet office at the back in the corner in the media department, where we were a really horrible, dirty subset of advertising. We come to the most important associations conference. Thank you for the 70s game show music. How are we doing? Doing good? We just heard how Google wants to become Microsoft. I think that's fantastic. I was asked today to say what's going to come next in advertising. So I'm going to make one prediction. But there's one thing I want you to go home with today, is I predict that the future of advertising is prediction. Make sense? Well, my job's done, so I can go home. Now, I'm an extrovert. Those of you that do study Myers-Briggs, I feed off energy of the crowd. So if you like what I'm saying, yeah, nodding, thank you, sir. We can nod your heads, disagree, shake your head. Actually, if you want to ask a question along the way, I may even be brave enough to take it. Or if you really like what we're saying, give me some energy, because I know it's the middle of the afternoon, and actually signals to the presenter is really good. It's a good thing. Is that okay?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's very nice indeed. And I want you to think about signals, because signals, especially in digital, drive prediction. If I can get the feedback from you, I can react to you. If I know what you like, I can give you more of what you like. Let me give you an example. Hi, I'm Andy Hart. I'm standing up here as a Microsoft person representing one of the greatest companies on the planet. We're here to enable and empower everyone on the planet to achieve more. Persona number one. Hi, I'm Andy. I'm sorry I can't be with you tonight at the dinner, but I've got parenting responsibilities. I'm seeing my kid. It's the most important thing to me. I'm making sure that he's fed and he's prepared for his exams next week are the most important. I humbly apologise. Oh, hi, I'm Andy. I work for Microsoft. My new boss has just told me that cloud computing and mobile computing is going to be the most important thing that's going to happen to us, and everyone in the company has to get behind building enterprise cloud, and for this audience, the marketing cloud, because it's going to change everything. And you get the drill. There's a few other of my personas that are up there. And the challenging thing about being in digital and being in advertising is making sure that you're talking to the right persona. Because when I'm thinking about my kid, I really don't care very much about the cloud. When I'm thinking about my cloud, I don't really think very much about my homemaking. And understanding which persona I am in is going to be so important to be able to deliver your right message at the right time, in the right context, everything that we've been trained for, everything that we are experts at, and making sure our fantastic creative hits home and delivers something that is effective. So we come to this conference expecting to hear about advertising, and of course advertising now is dominated by media. I'm privileged enough to have worked in a number of companies, but I do remember when I worked in my first full service agency, sitting in that very dirty little quiet office at the back in the corner in the media department, where we were a really horrible, dirty subset of advertising. We come to the most important associations conference. But I was asked today to talk about prediction, and my prediction is prediction, but to be able to predict, you need to understand data. And the title of my presentation was that little data is the big opportunity in a world of big data. Quick bit of math for you. If you add big data to big data, what do you get? Anyone? Bigger data. Bigger data. But bigger data is big data. It doesn't help. The ability to be able to decipher through big data is the really important piece. Let's talk big data. Let's look at some of the facts. I put up here some details. It's very good for the audience to go home with a few tidbits that you can say over the dinner party or back to your office to show how much you've learned from this conference, right? Here's the slide that does that. The rest of it is going to be speculation. I'll pick some out for you. Here we go. We know that Walmart, you all know Walmart, every minute produces about 340, get it right, 340 gigabytes of data. Every minute, 340 gigabytes of data. The human brain can have about 3 times as much of that data in its brain for the whole lifetime. Think about it. Walmart is producing a brain of data every 3 minutes. That's madness. If you play that forward and look at all the data created in the whole world every minute, you get 3,400 terabytes of data. I can't even get my head around what that would be, but it's something like 1,750 brains every minute. And guess what? It's only going to get faster, it's only going to get bigger, and the question is bigger better? What happens when the Internet of Things come online? Let's not kid ourselves. The Google cars are brilliant. Driverless cars are brilliant. But what is a driverless car but yet another device which is going to provide a whole new set of data that's going to inform better and hopefully safer activities that come later? The Internet of Things is going to drive huge amounts of that. And I think that that's really important. When my light bulb, when my fridge, and my gas meter is connected, all of this data is going to come in somewhere, and someone, somewhere, somehow is going to take advantage of that data. And if that data is put to good usage, and good usage means it's going to be put out at the right time, in the right mode, understanding my persona, something magic can happen. But when we add up or predict all of the Internet of Things. We reckon in 2020, which by the way will be here very, very quickly, because I don't know if it's the same wherever you live, but time seems to go faster as we go on. The more I look at I think it's something, the more I look at a screen, the faster time goes. So 2020 is going to be here much quicker than 2008 got to 2014. But whatever happens, we think there's going to be at least 35 billion devices connected. You can do the math yourself. How many devices per human on the planet? And each of these devices is going to be giving us new types of signals that's going to extrapolate. And Metcalfe's law, which you all know, Moore's law, which you all know, is going to become truer and truer. But as marketeers, what are we going to do with this? I mean, is this the greatest gift, or is this just going to obscure us? Let's take a consumer perspective for a second. If you're the consumer on the end of all of these services, we've heard a lot today about the whole world is mobile. Just one comment on that. I thought, by the way, the presentations today have been fantastic. One little observation that was shown to me by the scientists in the Microsoft research labs is actually mobile isn't mobile. Is anyone, can I borrow your phone, sir? Oh, thank you so much. He was tweeting me. That's very kind of you. I'm just going to leave that there. Can you make your mobile move, please? Mobile move? Yes. Oh, okay. So he proved the point. The mobile is not very mobile. There's only one thing that is mobile. Humans. Humans are mobile. And the fantastic thing about recognizing that insight, isn't insight the most overused word at the moment? Is it just me that everything's an insight? Yeah, a clever observation, even a non-clever observation is an insight. I think we need to come up with new nomenclature. Yeah, an insight for me, old advertising guy, yeah, that's okay. Back into agency mode. An insight for me is an observation that can change an attitude or an action of a human. There needs to be an output that's going to change the attitude of action. There's lots of stuff that goes below it, and in all of this world of big data, we need to start to understand the difference between an observation, interesting observation, clever observation, and insight, knowledge, and then nirvana, wisdom. We can get to wisdom, then we can start to make money. But when I start to think forward, and I think about this world where I've got multiple personas, where every consumer's got multiple personas, they're going to be mobile, they're going to be mobile. We need an infrastructure of technology, of media, that's going to enable the consumer to achieve more and do more. And that means the wisdom, the knowledge, the services need to be mobile. I'm not sure I agree with some of the comments that it's only going to be the telephone screen that's important. When I look at how I start to interact with my PC, with my Xbox screen, with my TV, and the new generation of technology that's coming, things like HoloLens, and I'll talk more about that later, we're going to go into a new era where it doesn't actually matter which device I'm going to be working on. It's me as a human, the mode that I'm in, the persona that I'm portraying, the task that I want to complete is going to be the real context, the new context in which the commercial message, I'll get that out right, the commercial message comes through that's really going to help me to achieve. We can understand that. We can predict the intent of the consumer. Then we get into a very interesting world. To understand intent, to understand and predict, we need to be more human. We need to humanize the connections. And I pieced together a number of components that, and maybe some questions that we can ask ourselves about how we humanize the services that we offer. So the first one comes down to really making sure that we understand some basic fundamentals. Do we understand the difference between personalization and prediction? We all want personalized information because we all feel we're very different. We're all individuals, we all have our own styles, yet we're all very tribal. Yeah, as an animal and a species, we're very tribal. Yeah, we wear, how many people are wearing the suits and the ties? Right? What's that say? Or the suits and the no ties. The jacket's on, the jacket off. You know the drift. We all represent tribes within our personas, and that adapts. But personalizing something for me, having my initials on my shirt, giving me a news feed about the things that I'm interested in, is not prediction. Personalizing is a super important component, and it's actually not that difficult. Why? Because consumers today realize there's value in personalized services. We've seen some of them today, and actually if you offer that information, most consumers will lean in. In fact, 48% of consumers in our recent study that we did about digital trends said not only do they understand that there's a value exchange between personalized services and themselves, but they're prepared to trade their data with you in expectation to get more personalized service because it's more valuable. They're prepared to trade it. 68% said that they would sell their data to get an even more personalized service. So prediction. Consumers are really savvy. Those that are already connected, they kind of get it. They know this stuff's coming. They know it's coming and it's going to be commercialized. They don't expect all services to be free, but they realize that they are part of the value equation that modern media and advertising provides, and they want to share in that. And it may not be a monetary response, but it will be high value, timely data that is personalized to them. But again, that's not prediction. Prediction is, I know what you're doing, I'm going to get ahead of you, I'm going to help you do that faster. I'm going to do it cheaper. I'm going to help you achieve more, better results. That's prediction. So, first step, understand the difference between personalization and prediction. But then we've got to be careful, because we've got to separate prediction from presumption. And I remember that my mother always taught me not to presume. You know, it's very polite, not anyone else got taught that. Don't presume, because it could be wrong. And if it's wrong, it's rude. If it's right, it's amazing. You know, you presume that it's right. When I walk into my, I belong to one of these private members clubs in town. If I walk in, the bartender can pretty much tell which drink I want at that time. I've got a few drinks. And I asked him one day, how did you know that I needed my Hendrix and tonic? Why was it a gin and tonic moment? Mr. Hart, he said, you were wearing a tie today, it must have been a stressful day, and your tie was undone and the top button was undone. Yeah, you needed a gin and tonic. Amazing. Right? That's a human connection. That's not presumption, that's prediction. He knew me, he read the right signals. And there were lots of signals that I was giving off. And he was able to pick that little data. But the top button was undone to come out with something that's not presumptions. By the way, he has got it wrong. You know, I walked in and I looked very tired and he gave me a martini when all I wanted was a beer, and we had a conversation, he took the feedback, and that informed his future predictions. So be careful about presumption, because if you get it wrong, it can be very rude. Another prediction. Goodbye typing. Bye-bye keyboard. When? I don't know, but it will come in our lifetimes, maybe much quicker than we think. Why? We're starting to see a huge amount of natural services that can understand input. Voice. We've all played with Siri, we heard about Google now. I'll talk to you about Cortana. Translate, language, all of these barriers to the world of information that was are now coming down. How many of you heard of Skype? We're going to get you back interacting now. How many of you? Thank you. You don't know what my question is yet, and that's brilliant. How many of you heard of Skype Translate? Oh, the same too. Okay, quick advert of Skype Translate. It's an international advert, so that's okay for the stage. That's okay with you. Skype Translate is Skype, which translates. Which means that you could phone someone up on a video call through Skype, and if it's in the major 4 languages, you speak in your language, and guess what comes out the other end? Their language. And guess what happens when they speak back in their language? It comes out back in your language. In real time. In the interim, if it's one of the smaller languages, goes voice to text. It can do text to voice if it's a major language, and over time we'll release more and more and more languages. But what's going on here? We've got the ability to listen to voice, translate it in real time, in the cloud, into another language, and distribute it across the world across the internet to someone's screen to hear it disseminated in their own language. That's amazing. The sheer power of the sheer computing power to be able to do that is mind-blowing. And only recently have we got to that stage, or we might pass law, that we can do that. We can intuitively understand the language and translate the meaning. It's about 85%, still improving day by day. But think about how that unlocks so many of the amazing things that you heard this morning across the world. Not just the do-good opportunities, but customer service. But the way that we interact with friends and family, how we portray our company, how you can save money in your call centres. The opportunity to connect in a really human way is important. And voice is just one. Gestures, the ability to gesturize and interact with a device is going to become more and more prevalent. I'll give you a task to go home and do. Search HoloLens, H-O-L-O-L-E-N-S. A lot of you have got obviously very good memories because you're not writing it down. H-O-L-O-L-E-N-S. And you will see what I mean about gestures. For those that don't want to write it down or don't want to look, very simple. HoloLens is the next generation of computing augmented reality. You've all heard of virtual reality? That's the easy one. All heard of virtual reality? There's a couple of nodding heads. I'll take it as a yes from everybody. Virtual reality is you go into a virtual space and you're enclosed. Augmented reality mixes digital, visual digital, and analog in one space. And that's launching now through Microsoft Windows 10, through a very special headset where you can interact in 3D, in the real world, combining digital and analog. Which means I could have a Netflix screen on my wall over there and I can lock it. I can make it bigger. I can tell it to follow me and it will start following me around the house. I can start creating toys, gifts, products in 3D. I can teach someone how to do something over the internet visually where they can see exactly what I see. Augmented reality, HoloLens, I predict that's going to be something very, very big. But all of these examples enable us to communicate and behave in more human ways. I think that's a good thing and we need more of that. But the ultimate relation between person to person, or now person to device, is that trusted relationship. And I believe and I predict that trust is going to be something that's really going to change the way that we react, behave, and engage as human beings. I put an example up here of Cortana. You've have seen some of the adverts for Cortana. Some of you that have Windows devices will be privileged enough to play with it. What's Cortana? It's an intelligent Siri. You know, it's something that thinks ahead for you. I was running a little bit late today, and Cortana had looked at my Outlook calendar, saw where I needed to be, looked at my GPS, saw where I was, looked at the route master to be able to find out how to get here, looked at the traffic and the weather, and told me I was going to be late, how I was going to be late, that I need to leave now, how long it would take me to get there, and was also prepared to send a message ahead to my host to advise them that I'm going to be late. Smart, eh? Think about all the different data sets, all the big data sets that needs to use. But it gets cleverer. Because Cortana is learning me. It sits on my phone, and with Windows 10, which comes out in the fall, it's going to sit across all the devices. Quick advert for Windows 10. Windows 10 is a unified Windows as a Service program which connects all the screens. Mobile, tablet, PC, TV in the living room, Xbox, and HoloLens. One code base. You can run one app and it will run on everything. You don't need to run an app, like write an app for a mobile phone, for a tablet, for a PC. One app runs on everything. So universal apps, I predict, is going to be the next hot thing, and I'm sure all of the other platforms will build that. Okay, I'm going to pause there. Do those four things, those four questions, make sense in your everyday work? Is this the type of thing, I'm seeing a lot of heads nodding, that this is the type of thing that you're used to in everyday work? Well, let's go on. These four questions, that's me a long time ago, these are the four questions that I wrote about in an article in 2000. These four questions were written about in 2000, which is about 15 years ago. So you could turn around and say, hey, nothing's changed. Well, what I can tell you, having come on this journey when I was actually a much younger man, and ironically when I saw the picture of that old Google, that Google interface, I was running Ask Jeeves at the time, and we were humanising the internet by answering questions. The same questions actually that Google are trying to answer now, we just had humans typing in the answers. So boy have we come a long way. But let me tell you what I predict is going to come next. Advanced machine learning, the stuff that we talked about, where we use huge data sets and huge computers to be able to compute massive things that can allow you to speak another language in real time over the web, or for your personal assistant to be able to work out what's important to you, what persona you're in, and start to give you advice. Prediction and intent is how this technical industry is going to take us as humans, as consumers, forward. I'll give you an example. There is another search engine apart from Google, which I tend to have responsibility for in Europe, called Bing. And Bing has a service called Bing Predicts. And we do Bing Predicts because it uses our advanced machine learning to drive artificial intelligence to help us demonstrate how this prediction stuff is going to be so important. So we pointed Bing Predicts before the Oscars, at the Oscars, and came up with our prediction of what the results would be. And in the major categories, we got 6 out of 6, and out of the 19 awards that were given, we got 16 right. 16 out of the 19. If I put £100 on that set of results, I would have earned £2,055. That's a lot of dollars. It's still a lot of pounds. When we had the World Cup soccer, a few people like soccer here, you go from the knockout rounds to the group rounds to the knockout rounds. In the knockout rounds, there are 16 teams. Before the event, Bing ran its stuff, and it looks at news, pundits, social media. It looks at line of business data, a whole load of massive data sets, and looks for patterns that a human brain could not even conceive. And guess what? 15 out of the 16 teams it predicted correct. It predicted in the Scottish referendum that the no vote would be 51 to 55%. Actually 51 to 59%. As we got nearer the day, it got to the 55%. Funnily enough, our corporate PR people wouldn't let us share the information about the present UK elections. It would have been very interesting, and I'm really interested to see when we do release that about what it will say. But what does that mean for us? It means that the tools are already there to produce our understanding and predictions from massive sets of data. Stuff that humans could never do. That when I used to sit down in '89 and try to write a media plan with a pencil and paper, and I used to wait for Tuesday morning when all the TV ratings would come in those green books on a trolley that was 4 foot high. All of that information, plus everything else that's out there, is going to drive massive change. And it's here now, and it's available. So when I go and talk to CMOs, and I go and talk to advertising agencies about this, I say, well, how do I make this come about? So lesson number 1, intuition. When you get to such massive data sets, you're going to get correlations that actually are outside human expectation. In the old world, we'd look at our cohorts and we'd do our crosstabs, and they'll come out with a few answers, and we go, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense to me because my experience, my customer's experience, my friend's experience says, I understand that outcome. In this new world of super big data, the correlations are going to give outlying signals that we don't understand, probably don't believe. You know what? We've got to trust them. So, there's a human ability to block out stuff that we don't understand. It's kind of a cognitive dissonance type of thing. We've got to drop it. Trust the data. Huge data sets are going to give outlying little data signals that could change everything. When I start to think about what the world would look like in 2020 from an advertising industry point of view, the one thing I don't see is machines talking to machines. And I know there's a lot of engineers that are out there that would love that a machine sold advertising to a machine that buys advertising, and actually probably the consumption of the media is by a machine. That's not the world I see. The world that I see and I predict is a world in which we have the ability to bring in multiple signals from all around the customers, and the customer here I'm talking about the client, the advertiser's world, to help them make more informed marketing decisions. That's our job. And we can use those data and those signals to inform our intuition as creative people, as media people, client service people, marketeers, to make better, more informed decisions. So programmatic is just something that delivers a solution. The inference, though, comes from your infrastructure and your ability to process this data at massive speeds and massive scale. We did this, I'll leave you with one thought. We did this for Real Madrid. Real Madrid came to us and saying, hey, we've got 400 million fans, and these truly are fans, from all over the world, and they've got many, many different touch points. They've got 20 different databases, lots of lines of business databases. How do we bring them all together and make sense of them? So we were able, using Azure, which is our cloud-based system, with dynamics and machine learning, to demonstrate to them that they could bring in these 20 signals, these databases, into one place. Use the advanced machine learning, like we do with Bing Predicts, to be able to start to intuit different cohorts and their behaviour. But we added to that. We used social signals. We got, and it was a great presentation this morning about social signals. This is just one small component that can drive inference about each consumer's behaviour. And as I said up front, we would like to think we're individuals, but we're not. We can look for patterns of groups of behaviour, that someone that buys a ticket and then visits the website and buys a shirt, we can tell you what they're going to do next. That's how you start to understand prediction. The machine power is here. It's here today. The tools are here today, but there's one thing that's lagging behind, and I think that's us as marketeers, that we are not moving fast enough to take advantage of all of these great data sets, these great tools, that are going to allow us to do the most important thing. And the most important thing is this. Our job, whether it's a technology company, a media company, an advertising company, a marketeer, is to enable consumers to achieve their task, to complete their task in a more effective, more imaginative, and a better way. Our industry has done that through entertaining and practical advertising messages that target groups of people. We can now do that in a personalised and non-presumptive but intentional way, where we can delight and entertain the individual consumer by understanding their modus operandi, predicting what they're going to do next, and making sure that the next service that they get or see, whether that's paid for commercial, whether that's a free service, or some form of content provider, enables them to be better human beings. And I think that's the stage that we're getting to. So if I finish, I think the prediction is that the advertising industry, the marketing industry, is at a watershed. Yes, the 4 questions I asked were the same 4 questions that I asked 15 years ago in 2000. But I can tell you, being a little bit on the inside of what's coming next, in a company that spends $10 billion on research. And if you want to see what we're spending that money on, you just search on Bing, obviously, for Microsoft Research, and we'll show you all the cool stuff that's coming for tomorrow. And those tools are available to you, the customers, and your companies today. I think it's going to be a really interesting road, because the answers to these questions are now. We now have the scale of infrastructure, the scale of usage, a set of consumers that want to come on the journey, and the tools to make it happen. The one thing that's going to hold us back is us. So I ask you to come lean in with me, shed some of the experience of the past, and become intuitive, and bring our creative skills and ability to be informed by the data, withhold our expectations, and go and create a better world. Thank you.